Hi, Tamar Hermes. Thank you so much for joining me today. My listeners and I are so excited to have you. You're such a powerful real estate guru. And I love the fact that you're out there coaching women, getting them engaged in their real estate investment strategies. Like, I'm just so excited you're here today. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure having time with you.
Me as well. So for those of you who don't know Tamar Hermes, like I love the whole broke kid to a millionaire. Like that is such an amazing way for us to just see all the things you've overcome in your life to get to where you are today. A wonderful mother of 3 grown children, a lovely dog, and a driven director for a husband. It's a lot to keep up with, right? And that's just like before you walk out the door. Tell us a little bit about, coach, financial coach, huge real estate mongrel investor, got tons of property, writing a book almost done out in November. You've got your podcast channel all about like growing your pockets and making money. And you love to focus on women. Like, how do you do all this in a day and still look so beautiful and look like you got it all together?
Well, thank you very much. I don't do it all in one day. It takes time and it is a constant work in progress. I think one of the best keys to being able to accomplish all of it has to do with paring down and saying no to certain things. It makes it a lot easier to get through all the things, to decide for yourself what it is that is the most important for you and to prioritize. And certainly like most entrepreneurial women, and I know you have several of them that are listening to this, it is always a challenge to have your time with your family and enjoy your life, doing just play and things that aren't adding up to the financial equation. And so yeah, it's a work in progress.
Absolutely. That balance is amazing. And I love when you say the power of saying no, right? As women, we have such a difficult time sometimes saying no, but that's so important. You have to say no more times than you say yes. But I will thank you for saying yes to me because we're really happy to have you here. Now, growing up, I know that you, at least from my understanding, have a similar background to me, except you went through some tough times. Your family had some poverty. You worked through it. Your father is a Holocaust survivor. And with that, like, I know you struggled a little bit with, do I want more? Like, felt guilty about wanting more, felt guilty about being wealthy, because we should be happy and blessed just to have food in our bellies and a roof over our head. Talk to us a little bit about how that was back then and how you transitioned from that feeling of like, I feel bad for wanting more.
Yeah, I mean, that was a real feeling for me. I was very torn because on one hand, I felt bad for wanting more and I felt ungrateful and I felt like I wasn't being a gracious person in my life. And on the other side, I saw that a lot of people did have things that I wanted, like they were able to travel, they were able to own their own schedules, they were able to uh, it- not worry about money, not worry about paying bills. And if they wanted to go out to dinner, they could do it. And so those were all things that I really wanted. And the way that I overcame all of that was again through a process of sticking with it and sticking to my guns in terms of what I wanted and being diligent, not worrying when I fell down. Because you can't just wake up one day and decide, okay, I'm going to want this and this and this for my life. And then the next day have it. You go through,
Mhm.
you get punched down several times on the ground. People say no to you, and you often feel that you're getting nowhere fast. And it is just staying with your vision. And I think that step by step, as I just kept growing in my career and growing in my investments and growing my partnership with my husband and with other financial partners, I was able to grow into the place where I am today.
That's amazing. And when you were going through those changes, like when you were starting to say, I do want more, you started to work a lot, right? You, if I recall from some of the reading I've done, you found yourself working all the time. And if you weren't working, you felt you weren't productive enough and you weren't going to get to your goal. Tell me about how you shifted that mindset from I always have to be grinding and working to a place of more balance where you have the flexibility to say no and feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that I haven't really mastered that entirely. I'm not going to say that I'm a pro at that. I believe that it has to do with, at a certain point you have a certain amount of money and you think, you know, that money isn't the key to the happiness, but you think that money will make it easier, which it does in many ways. And then you've got to just navigate into, well, why do I want this money? Somebody was saying the other day, you don't want money just to have money. You want money because what it can afford you to do, what lifestyle it can give you, what security it can give you, what
Mhm.
opportunities it can, what doors it can open for you, what opportunities it can give you. So that's what it is. And I think part of it is just also that feeling of the inner knowing of, in myself I'm enough, in my career I'm enough, in what I do it's enough, and just letting yourself own that.
Mm-hmm. And I know you meditate twice a day. Is that meditation, is that coming back to breath and coming back to self? Is that part of what how it like grounds you in I'm enough? This is great. I'm going to achieve it, but it doesn't define me, my happiness, or my success.
Yeah, absolutely. And the meditation, it just keeps evolving, and constantly changing because I'm very entrepreneurial. I'm very left-handed. I always like mixing it up. So for many years I sat, now I do walking meditations, and it is a practice of slowing down and checking in and self-acceptance all the time,
Mhm.
and visioning where you want to go and what you want to do and why you want to do it. And
Mm.
so I think that it's important to kind of give ourselves that time, even if it's just for a minute a day, even if it's not, if your practice isn't a long practice, but to just check in enough to be conscious of yourself and of what you're up to.
That's so powerful for me because I know so many women out there, they say they don't know how to meditate or they feel that they have to meditate in a certain way. So thank you for sharing that you can meditate in a sitting practice, in a standing practice, in a movement, and your practice can grow and change. And I think the most important thing is connecting into yourself and your breath. And what made you start meditating? Have you meditated your whole life? Can you remember when that sort of started to become a very important practice for you?
Well, I've read a lot of books that talk about the science of meditation and the practice. And it's been proven that if you meditate and you take your practice seriously, it actually has healing qualities. It makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you sleep better. There's all kinds of benefits to it. And it's free.
That's
So,
right.
it's kind of at a point where, we go and we do all these things that cost money to, you go to therapy and you do all these things that cost a lot of money, looking outside of yourself to go inside yourself. And so this is something where you can just sit with yourself and be with yourself. And it's just like anything, it's a muscle that builds. And after a while, you can just breathe and you start to get into that state where you can connect and feel whole wherever you're at. So that was, I think I just started and I just kept going. And I think for a long time, I just felt like, oh, this isn't doing anything. And then as soon as I really continued and checked in with myself, I could see that I was much calmer. And things that's also just wisdom, as you get older. And this is one thing that I always try to impart to my kids, which is that the things that make you hysterical in the moment are not that big of a deal. And that
Mhm.
in time now, things that would have, I think the other day I was driving the airport, my husband was driving the airport, and I
Yeah.
said, I said, I think I'm messed up. I said, I think I missed my flight because we changed time zones. We were in Los Angeles, and I said, I think I missed my flight. I think it was 2 hours ago. And so I called the airline. I was super calm.
Yeah.
And I called the airline. I was like, okay, well, I'll just catch the next flight. And it turned out when I called the airline that I didn't miss the flight, and I was actually on schedule. And I looked at my husband. I said, I was pretty calm about that, wasn't I? And he said, yeah, I was pretty surprised because maybe 10 years ago, I
Yeah.
might have really flipped out about that, thinking I made a mistake. Why wasn't I more careful? Why aren't I more organized? Oh, now what are the repercussions of this? And I need to get home. And I just would have gone on and created this whole reel in my mind that would have created a lot of stress. And in
Mhm.
turn, the other thing is that when you are stressed out, you stress out everybody around
You
you. So
emanate that energy, that frequency. It's like you just put a big ball of stress around you,
right.
right?
So it's not just me that has to manage it, but all of a sudden my husband has to manage it. The airline person that's working has to manage me. So
Mhm.
it turns into a lot worse than
Mhm.
if if we can just walk through it. So that's one of the things I think over time that the meditation helps you just kind of see, hey, it's okay. Like just let this sort, let this walk through. And it makes you a more powerful leader, it makes you more successful, it helps you get along better with others, it makes you
Mhm.
happier in yourself. So there's a lot of wins there that I think are pretty valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's extremely powerful. And what I also heard from you through all of those wins was a connectedness to others, a thought about how your actions are going to impact others. By you staying calmer, you're emanating a calmer energy. By you freaking out, you're attracting that hostile energy back, right? So that I think comes from sitting with self, and then you connect to the higher collective. So that's wonderful. That's a great spiritual practice or connected practice to have. You also work out and you ride your bike and you have this family and you're helping women make money. So when you were younger, you fought through a scarcity mindset. I like one of my favorite courses that I teach is all about overcoming a scarcity mindset and attracting abundance. I have a course coming up in November. But talk to us about how you shifted from that scarcity mindset from, I can't have enough or I don't deserve this, and switched into the mindset of I'm going to create myself a millionaire life.
Yeah, I don't know that it was that conscious. I
Mm.
think that I knew I could kind of see the finish line. I could kind of see that I wanted a certain sort of life. I knew I wanted to be married. I knew I wanted to have kids. I knew I didn't want to worry about money. And so, like Tony Robbins says, wherever your focus goes, energy flows.
That's
And
right.
so that was what I was focused on. So that's what I ended up creating. I ended up creating the children, the husband, the money, everything, because that was what I was thinking about. But then over the years, also I wasn't always helping women. At first, I was helping myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really working through learning how to be a great investor, learning how to run a company at a company. When I was raising my kids, it was really important for me also to have more time to spend with my children when they're young, and make sure that they felt nourished and loved. And so I had a different schedule at that
Mm-hmm.
time. And I think that success, it doesn't happen overnight. Making money in real estate doesn't happen overnight. It's over time. It's the consistency over time. It's sticking with the program. That's what does it. That's what does it. It's the discipline. It's the commitment. It's the courage to stay in it, even when maybe, the properties crash,
Mm-hmm.
and and everything's worth a lot less. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter as long as you walk through it, as long as you've mitigated risks, as long as you've taken care of yourself. So there's a lot of it really is just deciding, more than deciding I'm going to be a millionaire, is deciding what kind of life do I want to have? I actually don't even think I ever thought like, oh, I want to be a millionaire. I just think that we just ended up, my husband and I just were working, and we were good with our money. And then just
Mhm.
over time, just money kept building and building, and we just kept growing and growing.
Yeah, and what I heard from
Now
you,
I'm more like, I want more millions,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
once
was,
you have it, you're like, all right, bring it on, baby. But
yeah.
what I heard from you is that you had the power to manifest, but in addition to manifesting, you brought hard work ethic. Sometimes people, they subscribe to the secret and they think I can just manifest everything and I sit back and checks come in. I hear that you've manifested the life you want. You have the children, the husband, the beautiful house, the dog, and you worked hard and you created the things that you desired as far as real estate. So that's amazing. But also, hard work is necessary. And you said it earlier, the ability to bounce back after you're told no, the ability to bounce back after you have difficult times. We have to have resiliency, right? Like the world's not always going to be peachy. We're going to have issues. So thank you for demonstrating that. Now
Yeah.
tell me, one of the things you say is that 93% of millionaires are made from real estate. So
Mhm.
talk to us about that. Like if I'm a new investor and I want to get into real estate, should I start with buying another house? Should I start with short-term rentals, a multifamily unit? And explain what those are, because some of our listeners are like, Tara, what are you talking about? So what are those three things I just described, and where would you direct someone starting out? Obviously to your website so they can learn more, but just to give our listeners a gauge on how to start thinking about real estate.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a big box to
Yeah.
open with a lot of packages. So you talk about buying another properties. Basically, maybe you're assuming somebody has a home and then they want to buy a second home, and a short-term rental, of course, is the Airbnb model. Most people have stayed in Airbnb. It would be, as opposed to you staying in an Airbnb, you owning one of those properties. And
Right.
multifamily, of course, is accumulating units and having a multitude of doors, we call them, where maybe there's 24 units, which means that you've got 24 tenants that are paying you rent. So that's a great way to scale. There's many other models, and I think that there's a lot, it depends a lot in terms of where you go and how you do it, and there's a lot of variables. And I have my free quiz that you're welcome to take to discover what kind of real estate investor you are. And it's on my website at www.wealthwarriorwoman.com. And if you go on there, it's the pop-up, and it
Mhm.
will, and you can go through that quiz and you can kind of see, okay, based on my lifestyle, based on my time, based on the amount of money I have, this is the kind of thing that I would want to do.
Mm.
And it'll show you, and then it'll go through a sequence of different emails that will share more knowledge about that and how you can get started in those areas.
Amazing. So I will put that link when we send this out. Please go there, get that free quiz. And you also have another freebie that is around what kind of real estate investor are you, which is something that people can
Oh,
take.
that's the one. That's the
Oh, is
one
that
that I
the
want to
one?
share. Yeah, that's the
Awesome.
same one. Yes.
Yeah,
That would
so I
that
think
would
that
be
would
the
be
one.
so helpful for those women out there starting out. I know you moved from starting like really focusing on real estate to becoming also a coach, right? You became a certified life coach, and now you coach on. Tell me a little bit about what you coach on, how you coach women. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I coach women and couples and privately, and I have limited slots for those, and they tend to fill up really quickly. Where I will work with a woman or her spouse, and then what we'll do is we will go through really where you're at financially, what you want to create, what kind of investing is good for you. A lot of times my private clients have money already, so they may be trying to figure out, okay, how do I set up my LLCs, my 401ks? What do I do with this? What do I do with that? How am I going to scale this? How do I buy this? Where I'm going to find a deal? All these things. And then when you work one-on-one, then we can really go deep and make sure everything's set up for financial success. And then I also have a mastermind, which is a great way for if like you said, like, do I want multifamily? Do I want this? Do I want that? So there's a course that I created, the Real Deal Formula. And when you join the mastermind, you get that course. And then you get to join me every other week and ask questions and go through your real estate journey. I have a lot of success stories in both, which I'm really excited about. Just clients buying properties and getting really comfortable around real estate, understanding what they're doing, and also my private clients just having all the pieces of the puzzle work together and
Mhm.
seeing that come together and feeling really empowered by the creation of their wealth and building that wealth.
That's amazing. And they can find that masterclass on your website.
Yeah, there's a link to it on there
Amazing.
where it says work with me.
Okay, great. And listen, I know you've got to catch a plane. You're a busy woman. I don't want to keep you too long, but Wealth Warrior Woman, like that is your Instagram handle. How'd you come up with that name? I just love that name.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I really love it too, and it didn't come very easily. It's just
Nothing
like
great ever
everything.
does.
It's just, you start a company and you're evolving, you're figuring out who you are, what your message is, how do you connect with others, and there's a lot of work involved, and it's a grind for sure when you're starting out. No one knows who you are. You're just hey, look at me, just listen to what I have to say. And you kind of still don't even really know what you have to say because you're still kind of developing what you want to say and what you want to share and what value you bring. So it's pretty challenging. But I had a coach that that I really liked. I really am a huge fan of coaches, and I had a coach that I really liked. And I was having coffee with her one day, and she just looked at me and she said, "You're the wealth warrior." And
I
I
love
was
it.
like, whoa, like, wow. Cause she was just thinking about how strong I am and that I really believe in women. And she just said, "You're the wealth warrior." And then after a while, I just decided, I'll just call it Wealth Warrior Woman. And then that's what it is. And I've just kind of stuck with it. I had other coaches after that I was working with, and they were saying, "Well, I don't really think Wealth Warrior Woman, it's a little aggressive." And they
I
had
love
some
it.
comments about it, but I said, no, I think that that's going to be it.
So
And
I
also
knew
just
I knew
branding is a lot of work. So once you find it and you feel comfortable with it, it's like, oh, just stick with it. Cause if you start having to brainstorm more, it can really open up a Pandora's box that is not exciting. A lot of times still, I was a business coach too. So a lot of times I'll help my clients if they want to start. I had a client recently that wanted to start coaching. So I helped her create a program, and she was off to the races, and help clients build websites and funnels and all that.
Beautiful. Well, there's two things I heard from you. It's if you feel compelled, don't let anyone else deter you from your path. Like once you start, if it feels good for you, it's about your authenticity. It's not about anybody else's. The other thing I have for you is my whole life, my nickname has been Warrior Princess. So I think that's why they say my smile's like a princess, but I'm a warrior. So I think that's why I relate to it so much. When is the book coming out? Do we have a title yet?
It's called The Millionaire Next Door.
Love it.
And I am planning the release mid-November, barring any situations that make it push back.
Right. But once people come to your website, subscribe to your mailing list, I assume you'll let them know when it's going to hit the street, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, amazing. One last thing before we go. I always love this question. If you had to go back and tell your younger self, your 7-year-old self, something, anything, what would it be?
I think I would say live your best life and believe that you can do anything, and believe in yourself, and dig deep in terms of what you're interested in, and just know that it's possible.
I love it. Thank you so much. So just to recap for everyone, Tamar has gone from being in a family of a Holocaust survivor, being, struggling with those things of, I should be happy, I've got a roof over my head, deciding she wanted more, becoming a workaholic, working nonstop, and then deciding that, you know what, I'm going to manifest the family, the husband, we're going to start working, and real estate was her investment of choice. And in growing that, she became a millionaire and decided she's going to help women just like us out there get our real estate game on and step into the marketplace where we can start making money just like our counterparts. And so with that, you can check her out on her website. You'll find the link attached. You can go and check her out on Instagram. It is Wealth Warrior Woman. And you can also get her upcoming book. But at least, at minimum, please go to her website and check out her quiz on what kind of real estate investor are you? Who knows, it might change your game. Thank you so much for being with us today. I so appreciate you, the light you bring, and your time, as well as your extreme strength.
And
Great chatting with you. All right. Have a great one. Take care.